Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale with Off the Beaten Path, and this is your Must Know Monday for Monday, July 8th, 2019. So as you can see, I'm here with my friend Heather again from Beach Beads in Surfside, South Carolina, and we are going to do another collaboration video for you. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay guys, so for my part of our collaboration project, I'm going to be showing you a very old stitch that I have picked back up again. It's called African Helix. So with African Helix, we're actually not going to be going through the holes of any bead when we stitch. We are going to be going behind thread and kind of looping in thread. So that's the thing that kind of makes it different from other stitches. You're going to need a couple of things. Number one, you're going to need an assortment of size 11 seed beads. So I have a lot of different samples here to show you. If you want to do two colors, this would be a great example for what a two-color African Helix looks like. Now, I don't have the ends finished on this one because I actually have it to show you how to put a clasp on. But this one has a main color, which is the gray, and a spine color, which is that metallic look that you see on the end. So this is with two colors. This one has this one has actually 6 colors. This one is variegated colors that go into each other. So I have one main spine bead, which is my galvanized silver, and then I have a blue, a lavender, a green, a turquoise, and a pink. And I have the same thing here, it's just in different colors. So this one is cream, and then it has like a mallard green, a dark purple, a mauve, and then almost a brown. So these two are the same, it's just they are in different colors. Here's another one of a two color. This is peach with a gold spine. I have another one here. This is another example I'm going to show you today. This one is 4 colors, main colors, and then a 2-color spine. So I have a black and white spine here on this one. And I want to show you one with a little bit more of a bolder color scheme. I've not got this one done because I want to use it to show you how to add thread. So this is the same thing, just with a bolder color. So this one has orange, pink, lime green, and turquoise. So this one has 4 colors along with a 2-color spine. So you can see the difference here with the milkies versus this. So you're going to need a nice assortment of beads. If you're going to use 2 colors, it's going to take almost a full tube of your colors to do it. If you're going to use 4, 5, 6 colors, it's not going to take as many. So it's a good project to use up some of your extra beads. So you're going to need that. The other thing you're going to need is either a 3/16 wooden dowel, which we have on our website, or this is a crochet hook. This is a size H or a size 8, and it's a 5.0 millimeter. This is what I originally started doing the African Helix stitch on, and then I taught this at my class or at my store, and we used the wooden dowels, and they worked well for the class. Now I will tell you, if you use your crochet hook, keep your beadwork away from your dog, because this is what it will look like when your dog gets a hold of it. So make sure you don't let your dog get a hold of it. But this, to me, is the perfect size to do the African Helix with. You are going to need 1G or DuraThread. Your Fireline will work as well. It just makes your stitch a little bit stiffer and it doesn't lay as well. So if I had to pick one, I would, like I said, I would either use the DuraThread, 1G, KO thread, something of that nature. I'm personally going to use the DuraThread, and I'm going to show you a trick about threading the DuraThread. I'm going to use my thread zapper or a really good pair of scissors, and you're also going to need a needle. A size 10 or a size 12 needle will work. You're going to be using 3 yards of thread, or whatever you're most comfortable with at a time. There's really no way to get through this whole project, especially if you do a necklace, without adding thread. So just be aware of that. The other thing you're going to need is a magnetic closure. The one I'm using today is an 18 millimeter with a 12 millimeter inside diameter. So this is what it is. And it's magnetic, so you can open it just like this. So it's super easy. Now, the one thing that you need to know about using the magnet clasp for your pieces is that some seed beads are actually made smaller, so you may need a smaller size clasp. Every sample I did used the 18, 12 millimeter inside diameter clasp, except for this one. This one is Preciosa brand seed beads that I got when I was in the Czech Republic last December. These seed beads are, even though they're a size 11, they're a lot smaller than a Toho or a Miyuki, so I did have to go down on the size clasp that I use, so just be aware of that. But to start, I am going to cut my 3 yards of thread, thread my needle, and I'm going to be using 2 colors of beads. I'm going to be using a color, my main color, which is going to be a blue, and I'm going to be using a S, which is my spine color, which will be white. So I want to show you the basics of African Helix, and then I'm going to show you all these different variations. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first one we're going to start out with today is doing just 2 colors. So 1 color for your background color, which is the matte gray, and 1 color of the spine, which is the silver here. Here is another example of just the 2 colors. So the main color is my coral, the spine is the gold. So for today, I'm going to be using my turquoise as my main color and this sweet blush as the spine color. I'm going to be using my Dura thread. I've gotten some questions about the Dura thread. These cutters right here are the cutters. Let me see here. Okay, there we go. These are the cutters that I like to use to cut the Dura thread because I get a good straight cut to the thread. Now, I've had some people say that it frays on the end when they're trying to thread the needle. So just go ahead, and if you want to, you can run your whole thread through your wax, your beeswax, your thread magic, whatever you want. But if you'll just take some wax and throw it on the end here, you're set and golden. So I'm going to go ahead and get my needle threaded, and it doesn't matter if you use your 10s or your 12s for this, either will work. I like to use a 10. Now remember, like I said, you can use your crochet hook or you can use your wooden dowel. Either one of these things will work. But to start out, we're going to be picking up 12 of our main colors. Now you can notice today that I am using my No More Oops bead tray from lakesidejewelry.etsy.com, because even though right now I'm only using 2 colors, when you get to something where you're going to be using a lot of colors, that's like in this one here, it's easier to have this or something similar to it so you can work with it. So if you check out lakesidejewelry.etsy.com, be sure and use the coupon code KellyTray to receive something from the lady who designs these. So to start out, I'm going to do 12 of my main color. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm just going to recount these just to make sure I have my 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. All right, I'm going to drop all these down, and I'm going to go back through all of them once more. And then I'm going to tie these into a circle. Okay, so this is what it'll look like, and then we'll tie the 2 threads together. Now, I'm going to go ahead so that I won't have to deal with this tail thread. I'm going to go ahead and thread a needle onto this end and stitch it through my little ring here and get rid of this thread before I continue. Okay, so now I have my 12 beads on here, and I have put them on my dowel, as you can see here. I want to reiterate that we're not going to be going through beads, but we're going to be going under and behind the white thread that we see here. So to start out, we're going to be picking up 3 main color and 2 spine beads. So every stitch we do from now on is going to consist of 3 main and 2 spine. So from where my thread is coming out right here, I'm going to count over 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go behind, so my needle is going to touch the dowel, and I'm going to actually go in between beads 3 and 4 here in my initial ring. And this first row to me is the hardest. You want to make sure it pops in between those beads, and this is what it's going to look like. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up 3 main color and 2 spine color. From where I'm coming out right here, I'm going to count over 3. So 1, 2, 3. And again, I'm going to go between beads 3 and 4 from where my thread is previously. And you've seen my little loop here wanted to pop up, so all I have to do is bend that loop down. Again, 3 main, 2 spine. Okay. I'm going to count over 3 beads from where I'm at. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go between beads 3 and 4 here from where my thread is coming out. Oh, there we go. And if something happens and your bead or your thread moves or pops to another one, just put it in its place where it needs to go. Alright, so I've got one more little set that I have to add here, and you can see right here. So I've got my 3 main and my 2 spine. So this time, and let me see if I can get a little closer here, you can see right here, this is where I started. So if I count over 3 beads, so 1, 2, 3, it's going to put me right there where the knot was. So I'm going to go in between the last and the first bead is, I guess, the best way to say it. Make sure that thread goes in between those. Okay, and now your piece looks like this. So it's a wonky mess. And I promise you, until you get some length done and you slide it off your dowel, it is going to look like a wonky hot mess, and you're going to say, what in the world? How is that going to look like anything? But I promise it will. So again, just like I said, every single stitch that we pick up from here on out is 3 main color and 2 spine color. So I'm coming out right here. If you count over 3, 1, 2, 3, you're going to be going in between your last main color and your first spine color. Okay, and like I said, if it doesn't pop exactly where it needs to this first couple of rounds, just pull it and make it do it. There we go. Okay, so your 2 new ones are going to sit kind of sideways, and that's completely fine, because when we go in to add the next ones, you can see if I pull it down a little bit, it's going to make it lay like it needs to. So I'm going to my next little loop here, and I'm going to pick up 3 main and 2 spines. Count over 3, so 1, 2, 3, and again, I'm going between the turquoise and the sweet blush. The good thing is 3 beads over every single time is going to be between, for my colors, it's going to be between my blush and my turquoise. So that makes it really, really easy on this the first one that you do. I don't suggest doing a whole lot of colors on your first one, because it can be a little bit confusing. So you go to your next loop. Again, you do 3 of your base color and 2 spines. You can see my 1, 2, 3. Again, I would go right here in between the turquoise and the blush. Whoops. Pick that bead back up. Now, here's one really good thing. If you don't necessarily like working on the dowel or even your crochet hook, after you get these first couple of stitches done, you can take it off and you don't have to worry about it. You can stitch with it freehand, but me personally, I've just found it easier to stitch with it on here. So again, I've got my 3 main, my 2 spine, go in between the turquoise and the peach or sweet blush or whatever color you want to call this. And now you see, this is what you've got. This first little section right here will kind of always stay under, and that's okay, because when we take it off, it's all going to look uniform and the same, and you won't have to worry about it. So I've got my beads. I go under this next little section, pull it through, which I have a little knot here. I have a hot mess, so let me figure out what I've done here real quick. I got my thread snag out, and I've done some more here because I really wanted to show you what it looked like when you got some more done. You can work with it off of your dowel or your crochet hook, whatever you want to do. So to do that, if I pick up my beads, I come to my next little loop here and I go behind or through the loop just like I normally would, making sure that those beads pop into place. So if you want to use it off the dowel, you can do that as well. Now, I wanted to show you, if you are working on the dowel or off, either one, and your bead, well, let me see if I can get it to do it here. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to pull it a little tight because, yeah, there we go. If your beads pop through the center of your hole, all you need to do is take your needle and go up through that same big open space that you've got and pull that thread up, and those beads will pop back out. That's the reason I like to work on the hook or the dowel, either one, because there's less space here between your beadwork and your hook, so it's a lot easier to kind of deal with and work with if you do it this way. So there we go. All right, so I can continue working on this one, but I want to show you the girl who did this sample for me and tested my pattern had a part where it looked like a hot mess, and you can see it right here. You can see how you know what a hot mess it looks like. And I'm gonna see if I can get this through right here. Okay, so you see right here, you see she's got some beads sitting sideways like these are here, and this is because instead of going between the peach and the gold, she went between the 2 golds. Okay, so you want to make sure of that. Now the next thing you want to make sure of is that when you pull the beads down, that you pop them into place, because see right here, see this part here, and there's one right here. That's because she didn't pull the beads together and pop these golds into place. So I'm looking to see if there was one more part here, because I wanted to kind of show you. I don't see one that she's done it with, but be aware, if you go through and you see gold, 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 and you see a peach, then it's because you went through 2 peaches instead of going between a peach and a gold. But I don't see anywhere. It was like once she got, I started it for her, and then she started working on it, and it was a hot mess, and then you can see she really got into the rhythm. But I told her not to pull it apart, because people, you know, need to see, even if you flub it up really bad, it still, in the scheme of things, looks okay. So let me show you actually now. I would continue to work until I have my whole length, okay? So this one, I would just keep doing exactly what I was doing on the turquoise. Now, if you'll notice on these samples here, let me grab this one, and I'm going to, let's see, there we go. Let me get all these threads off here. So you can notice on this one that I've gone into different colors. So what I've done is I have done so many inches of one color. And I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to try to get as close as I can here so you can see it. Here we go. All right, there's no rhyme or reason on how you meld into a different color. You can see that I just started picking up some purple beads and intermixing them with my blue beads. You want this to take about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch to kind of meld your colors. And then you'll see here, between the purple and the green, I just started picking up some greens in with my purples. There's no right or wrong way on how to pick these up. Same thing down here. You can see here, I've just started picking up some turquoise in with my greens until I've done about a 1/2 inch. And then I just start my new color. Same thing with my pink here. I'm showing you this to show you that not every little section that you meld into has to be exactly the same. You can do some different colors. It's just like this one here. Let me see if I can get up close on this one. Here we go. So this one's a little bit harder because it's bolder colors, but you can see how the brown kind of started going into the pink about a 1/2 inch, and then it's completely the darker pink. Okay, then the purple, then this teal color. So you can see it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just kind of meld your colors in however you want. And how I figured out how many inches is I took my colors. So if I wanted to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I used 5 colors. I would just divide that by the length that I want. And that's kind of how many inches. Now on this first one, I just kind of eyeballed it. So I did so many inches of the pink, and then I think I did more turquoise and a little less green. So it's really up to you on how these meld together like this. I'm actually going to do a couple more inches on this one and meld into another color so I can show you that. Alright, so I've done about 2.5 inches, and I want to transition to another color. So it's like I said, and I showed you, there's no rhyme or reason. So I'm just going to pick up 1 cream, 2 turquoise, so that equals 3 of my color and 2 of my spine. And I'm just going to go ahead and do my stitch like I normally would. Okay, and you can see that puts my first cream bead in here. So this one I might do turquoise, cream, turquoise, and then 2 of my spine. And then the next one might be a cream and 2 turquoise. So there's, like I showed you, there's no rhyme or reason. We would just want to start incorporating these cream beads into the mix. Okay, so I've gone all the way, let me get this one in, so that now I've gone all the way around putting my cream colors in here. So now for the next round, I might do, for this one, I did cream, turquoise, turquoise, so I might do turquoise, turquoise, cream. Okay, then the next one, I've got cream, or turquoise, cream, cream. So I'll just do turquoise, turquoise, cream. However you choose to do it, there's no right or wrong. And I will just continue picking up my beads and adding in my creams until I add more and more creams. As you can see here, I'll just keep adding these until I make that transition. Okay, so as you can see, I've completely made the transition now, and it was super easy, and all I would have to do is just continue on with that color and then transition into the next. So eventually what's going to happen is you're going to run out of thread. So I'm going to show you in a few minutes how to actually add thread, but I want to show you on this completed piece here what to do once you actually get the length of the piece that you want. Okay, I'm to the length that I want on my piece, and I've done my last little loop here. Now I'm actually going to turn the loop up this way so that I can see these last pieces. So I've threaded the needle onto this. I've still got my needle on this tail thread here, and you can see I've got my 1, 2, 3, 4 little loops. So from where I'm coming out, which is right here between my my nickel, I'm going to come through the next 3 main color beads. And I'm going to pull that thread. I'm going to skip the nickels, the next nickels here, and I'm going to reach down in, and I'm going to go through the next 3 main color beads. Skip the nickel, go through the next 3 main color beads. And then I've got one more set to go through, so I skip the nickel and go through my 3 main color beads. Basically, you're taking your needle, skipping all of your spine beads, and just going through those main colors. So let me go through these first 3 again. Okay, make sure that the thread does not get caught around your nickel beads. There we go. And it's when you pull it tight, it's going to make it more almost into a triangle or a square if you look at it this way. So I'm going to go through these beads one more time, and as I go through them and I get to the corners, I'm going to put a little half hitch knot. Now I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, make sure that the thread does not get caught in those corners. To do my half hitch knot, I'm going to go under the thread here between the gray and the nickel. Leave myself a loop and pull that through. So I'm not going through any spine beads, just going through those main color beads. Now, if you want to, you can come in and you can add a bead in each corner here, so you'd have, well, and let me just go ahead and show you how to do that, so that way there's no questions. So I'm going to go through 2 of the 3 beads of my main color, and I'm going to get a totally different color here because I want you to be able to see what I've got. I'm going to pick up 111, and I'm going to go through the middle bead here of my next set of 3. It's going to be tight. That'll pop 1 bead in. Then I'm going to pick up an 11, and I'm going to go through the middle bead of the next set of 3. Middle bead of the next set of 3. And middle bead of the next set of 3. So that's going to close that end even more. I can go through those 4 beads again. And then this gives me a little section here that it would be much easier to add a clasp to. But I'm going to tie this right here because I have found it so much easier to use one of my magnetic closures. And again, this is an 18 millimeter, 12 millimeter inside diameter magnetic closure. I'm going to be using my E6000 glue, and I want to put a good bit of the glue in here. And this tube, I have used just about all I can use out of it. So I've got about half the tube filled up. Okay, so about half of it. And then I'm going to slide the beadwork in, and I'm just going to kind of twist the beadwork so that I know it's in here and it's got a good hold to it. And then I would sit and let this sit for about 24 hours. I can go ahead and glue this side in, and then I would actually have the clasp complete and finished. Alright, so one of my favorite one of these to make is one that has 4 colors. So I've got my green, my pink, my orange, and my turquoise. But then it also has a multicolored spine like this one. This is just so fun to me. I love doing something like this. So to do that, I've got my 4 colors. And this time I've got 2 colors for my spine. So it's going to give me this checkered polka dot look here. Now the thing that's going to make this different from our original one is you can see here our first row of 12 is going to be 3 beads of each color. So we would thread on 3A, 3B, 3C, and 3D. Let these drop down. You go through all 12 again and then tie these into a circle. I must have one bead here. It's got a small hole. There we go. Okay. We're going to pull those threads like this and tie them into a circle. Okay, put it on your dowel, and then you're ready to start. You can go ahead and get rid of the short thread, or you can move it out of the way completely, up to what you want to do. But on this first one here, my blue, I'll pick up 3A, and then I'll pick up spine 1 and spine 2. So 3A, spine 1, spine 2. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit for you. So now this one is really easy because I know I'm going to go between the blue and the purple. I don't have to count anything on this one. Makes it really, really easy. Okay, and if your beads pop up just like these did, just lay them down. Okay, now I'm to my B's. So this is where I'm going to pick up 3B. And then spine 1 and spine 2. Go between the purple and the orange. There we go. Okay, now I'm to my orange, my C. So I've got 3C, and then spine 1 and spine 2. This time I'm going to go between the orange and the pink. And then the last one here is going to be my pink. So I'm going to do 3 pink, and then spine 1 and spine 2. Again, super easy because I know I'm going to go between the pink and the blue. Okay. So now I'm back to my blue again. So I've got 3A. And then spine 1 and spine 2. Always, always, always pick these 2 beads up in the same order, and that's going to give you that checkerboard effect. So I'm going between the blue and the the blue and the silver here. And you can see that when I pull that, okay, come on, get in, there we go, sorry guys. You can see now I've got black, nickel, black, nickel. So now I'm ready for the purple, so I'm going to do 3 purple. And then a spine 1 and a spine 2. I'm going to go between the purple and the nickel. And again, you can see black, nickel, black, nickel. So 3 of the orange and then a spine 1 and a spine 2. Go between the orange and the nickel. Well, come on here. There we go. Okay, and you can see here, oh, excuse me. You can see here I went between 2 orange. So this is where we want to move it up and get it in between the orange and the nickel. There we go. And again, you can see black, nickel, black, nickel. So I'm going to continue on for just a little bit so you can see how this one looks, and then I'm going to show you how to add thread to your project. Okay, so I did a little bit more so that you could see kind of how your colors would look with that little checkerboard finish. So I have one here that I've actually already done a little bit of length to. I have gone until I needed to add some new thread. And this one I just used, let's see, my first black, or the first spine color was black, and my second spine color was white on this one. So when you do your last loop, you are going to take your needle off and leave your thread exactly where it is. You're going to thread your needle onto a new piece of thread, and I'm going to come to the spine before the one that I just finished. So this was the spine that I'm coming out of, so I want to go up through this spine. So I'm going to go up about 2 beads, and then I'm going to take my needle and, first I want to leave, just a little short thread here. Let me get that needle threaded back. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave just a little tiny short thread. I'm going to come up 2 beads, and then I'm going to come up through a few beads here in that spine. So I skipped 2 spine beads, and let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit better for you. There we go. So I skipped 2 spine beads, and I went up through about 3 beads. I'm going to pull myself just a little bit of thread through. You can see not much at all. And I'm going to put in a 1/2 hitch knot right there between the white and the black spine bead. So this leaves me a really long thread here and just a short thread here. So I'm going to continue up through that same spine. I'm going to come up through some beads, and I'm going to do me a 1/2 hitch knot. And then go up through a few more, staying in the spine. And then once I feel pretty confident with my thread here, I'm going to go ahead and stitch through a few more beads, and then I can trim or use my needle burner, my thread burner, and get rid of that little short thread. Now I'm going to take my new long piece, so this piece here, I'm going to thread a needle onto the end of it, and the reason that I skipped 2 beads here in the beginning was so that here we go, I skipped these 2 beads so that my thread is exactly where I need it to be to start the next step. So I'm going to go through the 3 turquoise, and I'm going to kind of have to keep this little tail thread pulled down here. I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to go through the white and the black bead here. And now I'm going to go behind the thread, just like if I would have added those 3 turquoise and the black and white, or white and black, and now my working thread and my tail thread are in exactly the same spot. So I'm going to stick that needle to the side, and then I'm going to take this shorter tail thread. I'm going to thread a needle onto this end. And now I'm going to take my tail thread, my short tail thread here, and I'm going to go up through the spine. So it's coming out right here between the black and white bead, and I'm going to come right up through the spine. And I'm going to do exactly like I did in this spine. I'm going to do a 1/2 hitch knot, and then I'm going to stitch through some more beads. I'm going to do the same thing, 1/2 hitch knot, now once I'm happy with this one, then I'm just going to stitch through and get rid of this thread, so that now I already have my thread in place and can just continue to stitch to finish up this piece. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this African Helix part of my collab with Heather. The one thing that I did want to let you know is that I do have the written pattern for African Helix available on my website at offthebeatedpathbeadstore.com. This is a 9-page pattern that is going to walk you through the basics of what we did today, which were how to do single color African Helix, how to add thread to your project, how to do 2 to 4 color African Helix or African spiral, and how to use multiple colors with transitions. I also listed on the last page of the pattern all of the colors that I used in the different samples that I showed. So again, you can find the pattern as well as kits for some of the colors that I've done at my website, offthebeatedpathbeadstore.com. Now let's jump over to Heather and see Heather's part of the video and how to make a beautiful pendant that you can accessorize this African spiral or African Helix necklace with.
Hi everybody, I'm Heather at Beach Beads in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. And today I am going to show you how to make a simple wrap with one of my handmade glass beads to attach to the necklace that Kelly just showed you how to make. So first thing we're going to go over is the tools you're going to need. First, you're going to need approximately 15 inches of 12 gauge aluminum. You're going to need your round nose tools. It's always good to have your nylon pliers, you know, the coated pliers around when you're working with aluminum, and then you're going to need your flush cutters. The pricing on the bead is going to be $34 just by itself, and with the aluminum wire kit it'll be $39. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Okay, today we're going to do a simple wrap. I have my 15 inches of 12 gauge wire. I'm going to start by grabbing right at the tip. Now, the more you work with aluminum, the more you'll get used to it, but you need to kind of have a soft, firm hold to make your first loop. You can see I'm not all the way at the tip, but I'm pretty close to it. And I'm going to target my area and hold close, and I am going to make a simple loop, but we want that loop as small as possible. You don't want to grab too hard on the aluminum because you will leave a mark. So we want just a simple loop, and we're going to just go in there snug, and we're going to roll it up. Now I get it to where I can get it with my fingers, and then I use my fingers. If your fingers are not strong enough, you can grab it with a nylon coated tool. And I actually use the tool more than I use the wire just to grip it. And now I'm going to roll that up. Just roll it up until you get the size swirl. You will be able to either use this as part of the front decoration, or we will use it as what we call a cradle at the bottom to just secure the wrap, but you can use it either way. So you're going to get the swirl that you want, and you're going to come over and make a little bend, because we want this centered. It's kind of gonna look like an upside down question mark when you're done. You want that bend centered over the swirl right here, so as centered as possible. You are going to go ahead and slide your bead on there, just like that. We're gonna leave that bottom part showing for now, and then we will decide. Okay, so here is the part that you will have to decide how big your loop's going to be to get over the necklace. I have a couple dowels. If you don't have a dowel, a simple fix is like a full tube of seed beads, just to get that big loop you want, because you're not going to have round nose pliers large enough to get the loop. So I'm going to go ahead and place my dowel right here behind the tool, and I'm just going to bend the wire around and bring it all the way forward. So you want it totally where the circle is complete. You may have to maneuver it a little bit. So the circle is going to be complete there, as you can see. So then it'll be your loop will be large enough so it can slide on your necklace. So you're going to go ahead and take it off the dowel, or you can leave it on, whichever you're more comfortable with. Sometimes when you're first working with aluminum, it's better to leave it on here, because your loop will be more secure. The more you work with aluminum, the more you're going to get comfortable. I'm going to wrap tightly around one good time. Now, if you are not touching the bead on your first wrap, then go ahead and wrap one more time. We don't want this bead jiggling on the wire. We want a nice tight wrap. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off the dowel. I'm going to hold the loop and bring that wire tightly across the front. Just like that. So the key is when you're trying to get aluminum tight, you have to really target the area. I'm holding onto the loop and I'm pulling it tight. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to work on this first loop. Getting the first loop is a little tricky, and like I said, the more you work with aluminum, the better you're going to get with it. It's kind of practice makes perfect. The good thing is it's very inexpensive, so if you waste it, just cut it and start over. Okay, so where we're going to make this loop right here is we are going to put pressure with our finger right here and make a small bend. So you see I just made a small bend, and now you're going to switch positions several times during this just to get comfortable so you can get the right tension. Okay, so the trick to getting a first tight loop is you are going to put pressure with your finger right here where that bend is, and I am actually going to pull on this wire. So you see let's get that bead straight. You see I am going to pull on the wire with this hand while making a circle. Okay, so there I have my first little loop. That's going to be the base for the loop. And then you just slightly bring it around. And you're just going to now put your thumb to put pressure on here to keep this loop flat. And you're basically just going to chase the wire around. And don't worry if your loop's moving. We can always maneuver it at the end. So there I have the start of my loop. I'm going to continue chasing. and just keep going around. We're just covering up the bail so you cannot see. We're going to eventually cover that up so you can't see how large it is, but yet it can still, we're kind of camouflaging it so you don't, the focus isn't the loop. And I'm going to come up here and bring it all the way across. Now, if your loop is ever overlapping, you can go in with your nylon coated pliers and just kind of squeeze those loops down so they are not overlapping. Okay. Now, depending on how big you want your top swirl, like I said, it's always better to have more wire than not enough. So you see I have plenty of wire. I'm actually going to trim about 2 inches off of it. And you always want to make sure when you trim that you are trimming with the back of the tool. And I always say something funny so you'll remember it. I say cut with the butt. So you're going to cut with the back of the tool. So that is going to give you the nice flush cut. If you cut like this, that's when you're going to get the sharp edge. Just flip it over, recut it. But you always want to cut with the butt of the tool so you get a nice flush cut. So here we have the bottom loop centered. We have the top loop, and now we're going to swirl back towards the other way to kind of make an S. It does not matter which way your S goes. It does not matter which way you start to turn when you make this loop. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to get an S. Okay, again, we're going to target that area because we're going to do the same thing we did when we started this. We're going to get to the very tip. Right here, you want the wire flush, not at the very tip because the tool will slip, but you want it just barely in there. You're going to target your area. You're going to make a full circle, just like that. Full circle, just like that. And then you're going to go in snug, and you're going to start winding that swirl back. I get it big enough to where I can do it with my fingers, and then I'm just going to wind that up. Until it is centered on top. And you can kind of, the great thing about aluminum is it's very workable even after you're finished. You can still kind of tweak it and make it look like you want. Okay, so there we have the simple wrap. Now you can decide if you want the bottom swirl showing or if you just want the top swirl showing. It's a very easy fix. So let's say that you want it like this, you would just leave it like that. But let's say we're going to make a cradle out of this so it doesn't show. All you're going to do is push the bead all the way up, bring the aluminum back, and flatten it on the back. Now, if you decide you're like, oh, that covers some of my decoration up, you can see it's, all you have to do is flip it back out. So you have that choice, whether you're going to create a cradle where the front swirl doesn't show at the bottom, or if you're just going to have it at the bottom. But that is what it looks like when you use the swirl as the back cradle, and you just have the top swirl. And then your loop is plenty big enough to go over your necklace. So there you have it.
So guys, I hope that you enjoyed this brand new video with me and Heather. Heather, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the pricing on those beads again and show us some of the other beads that you've got for sale.
Sure. The bead itself that we will be wrapping to attach to the necklace is going to be $34 for the bead only. If you would like the wire kit in any special colors, silver, I have a whole line of colors to match if you'd like, that kit would be $39, and we are going to honor that till September 1st, 2019. I also can do the cluster wrap like I did with my shells in the original video, and that kit would be $44. And then I also have the tab videos where you could use it as a pendant, or we can use it in the wrap bracelet that Kelly showed you the tutorial on.
Exactly. Now, I don't know if a lot of you paid attention or not, but when Heather showed you actually the simple wrap for today's video, which is more of an oblong shaped bead, it's actually a double-sided bead. So it's really fun because you really can use either side to make your pendant to kind of showcase. So just remember, when you are making your necklace, if you choose to do a necklace like this to go with your pendant, just remember to really pull all the colors, or as many colors as you can, out of your pendant to really have fun with the necklace. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye bye.